Welcome back, everyone. Ferdinand Magellan, the guy that predated Francis Drake. Epic History and Simple History. This is on Simple History's channel, but Epic History and Simple History did this collab. Let's jump right into it. Glad you're here. Hit that like button. Let's go.
Epic History TV collaboration. In the late 1400s, a great new age of European exploration began, led by Portuguese, Spanish and Italian sailors. They made great voyages into the unknown, full of danger, adventure and discovery. These pioneers were driven by Christian zeal and profit. In Europe, spices like cinnamon, cloves and nutmeg, which grew only in the Far East, were worth their weight in gold. Whoever controlled their trade was guaranteed immense wealth. By 1518, the route to the so-called Spice Islands was dominated by Portugal.
True.
Spain wanted a route of its own. Enter 38-year-old Portuguese sailor Ferdinand Magellan. Ferdinand Magellan, as he's known in English, was a brilliant navigator who'd spent...
I didn't know he had like a Spanish name. The Magellan Ferdinand. Interesting.
Ferdinand Magellan, as he's known in English, was a brilliant navigator who'd spent many years sailing the Indian Ocean. But he'd fallen out with the King of Portugal, and now offered a bold plan to his rival, King Charles I of Spain. Magellan believed it was possible to sail around the New World and reach the Spice Islands from the east.
You notice how on the map he kind of goes right through Ecuador. Not Ecuador, Uruguay. And the maps just weren't there. It's obviously you got Argentina and Chile super deep down there that you have to basically cross Argentina almost, you know, once you get almost to the Antarctic, where you'll see Antarctica, but not quite.
Since, contrary to popular myth, it had been widely accepted for centuries that the Earth was round. King Charles accepted Magellan's proposal and helped him assemble an expedition with 270 crew and 5 ships known as carracks.
Okay, 5 ships, 1 fleet.
The fleet set sail on the 20th of September 1519 and crossed a stormy Atlantic to reach the future site of Rio de Janeiro in modern Brazil.
Okay.
Here the men traded with local tribes, exchanging simple objects like metal fish hooks and playing cards for fresh food and water. Magellan continued south until winter storms forced him to camp at Puerto San Julian. There Magellan faced a mutiny led by Spanish officers convinced he was leading them to their doom.
We saw a similar thing here with Francis Drake. Very similar.
Magellan acted swiftly and ruthlessly. He sent loyal men to kill one of the ringleaders, while another was captured and executed. 2 others were marooned, left behind when the fleet sailed south again in August.
Dang, they just left him. Who knows what happened to him?
As Magellan searched for a passage west, one ship, the Santiago, was wrecked, though the crew were saved. Another ship, the San Antonio, deserted and sailed home.
Dang, you're gonna desert that far out?
But Magellan did discover a 350-mile strait, which now bears his name, through to the far ocean.
As I would say, very much deserved.
A sea that seemed so calm, he named it Mar Pacifico, the peaceful sea.
That's where Pacific comes from? Like pacifier? Pacifist? Oh my goodness, I didn't know that.
Or Pacific Ocean.
What?
But the Pacific Ocean was far bigger than they'd estimated. Their supplies ran out. The men were forced to eat rats and drink putrid water. 19 died of scurvy.
Jeez.
Then, after 99 days at sea, the lookouts spied land. They'd found Guam in the Mariana Islands, but when the islanders stole one of their boats, fighting broke out, and Magellan had to leave without fresh provisions.
Insane that he was able to find one of those islands. Just think about like the trajectory. It's like playing Minesweeper in the ocean. Crazy.
A week later, Magellan and his men became the first Europeans to reach the Philippines,
Really?
where they were able to feast on bananas and coconuts.
This is probably the first time East Asians and Philippines have ever seen Europeans then. Wow.
With Magellan's Malay slave acting as translator, they sailed on through the Philippines to Cebu, where they made an alliance with a local ruler who agreed to be baptized a Christian and swore allegiance to the King of Spain. A local chief from the island of Mactan then asked Magellan for help in defeating his rival, named Datu Lapu-Lapu, and Magellan agreed.
Okay.
He crossed to Mactan with 60 men in boats. But though the Europeans had superior weapons and armour, they were massively outnumbered. After burning the enemy village, Magellan's men were driven back into the shallow water, where Magellan himself was cut down as they tried to reach the boats.
They were cut. He died?
Now, their former allies on Cebu turned on Magellan's crew, butchering 30 of them in an ambush. The survivors fled. With only enough men left to crew 2 ships, they burned the Concepcion and continued their search for the Spice Islands.
What's the Spice Islands?
They travelled to the Muslim court of Brunei on Borneo and were amazed by its splendour. Finally, with the help of local guides, and more than 2 years after sailing from Spain, they reached their destination, the Spice or Maluku Islands.
The Maluku Islands of Indonesia. Ah.
Today part of Indonesia.
Wow.
They traded everything they had for all the clothes their 2 ships could carry.
Wow.
But as they prepared for the long voyage home, the Trinidad sprang a leak and had to stay behind for repairs.
Dang.
Its crew later tried to return to Spain across the Pacific, but most of the men became sick or died. The survivors had to return to the Maluku Islands, where they and the Trinidad were captured by the Portuguese. The Victoria,
So the Portuguese have a monopoly in this area.
the last and smallest ship of Magellan's fleet, sailed west for home, captained by Juan Sebastian Elcano.
Well, he should be known
Crossing the
he should be known just as much. Let's find that name. What's that name? Juan Sebastian Elcano. He should be as widely known as Magellan. I mean, Magellan started this, but it's not how you start, how you finish.
Crossing the Indian Ocean, it took 9 weeks of battling headwinds before they could round the Cape of Good Hope. The men began to starve once more. 21 died before they found fresh provisions at Cape Verde.
God.
On the 8th of September 1522, almost exactly 3 years after their departure, the famished, exhausted crew of the Victoria cast anchor at Seville, Spain.
Those are some expensive ingredients.
Just 18 of the original crew of 270 had made it home.
My God. What about the early ships that defected? They make it home though? Or went back?
But what they and Magellan's expedition had achieved was astonishing.
I guess Magellan should still, a whole lot of credit. He was a martyr for this.
The first voyage of circumnavigation around the world. mankind at last had final conclusive proof that their planet was a sphere, and a greater idea than ever before.
I mean, we had conclusive proof prior just through the astrology, but I said astrology, astronomy.
Of its vast size.
But yeah,
It was an incredible feat, not repeated for 58 years.
Francis Drake.
And an Englishman named Francis Drake made his own remarkable voyage around the Earth. This
Wow. Great. Great video. Crazy. I did not know Magellan died in a local skirmish. And that's crazy. That's crazy. I did not know that. I thought he would have returned back. The more you know. And Juan Sebastian Elcano, should deserve just as much credit as Magellan. Because he got the troops home. He got the troops home. Because if he never made it home, there is no circumnavigation. There's not. So let's think about that next time. That's all we got today. Appreciate you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. Woo! Peace out. Goodbye.